both On3 and KLATT just released their jarring record predictions for Nebraska in 2025, and I've heard they are absolutely crazy. I haven't seen either of them, so in today's video, we're going to change that. We're going to react to both of their record predictions. How many games do you think the Huskers win? 8, 9, potentially a College Football playoff berth, their hot takes along the way, their analysis of the Big Red. How good do they think we actually are? And then when it's all said and done, are their takes valid? Are they not? I'm going to be very unfiltered in this video and everything else you need to know. So really quick, this is going to be a fun one. Hey, if you're having a good Saturday, because I know I am, hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for daily content? Talking your favorite team, talking Huskers. It's no rare. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. Reacting to both On3 and KLATT's predictions for Nebraska in 2025. I'm going to be very unfiltered. We're going to see what they have to say, but I'm going to give my opinions as well, whether these predictions are valid, not valid, and everything else in between. So we're going to put on our trusty headphones because we're going to be reacting to a video today because I want to hear their analysis. Let's just get it going with On3 to get things started. This is JD Pinko. We'll give him a like on the video to get things going. And also, we got to put on the trusty detective hat because we don't know what we're getting into, folks. We have no idea if it's going to be a good prediction. We have no idea it's going to be 6 wins, 9 wins. So I'm going to be a skeptic today. So we got to put on the skeptic detective hat. Let's just get things started.
Let's break this thing down. First game, Cincinnati.
Got to predict a win here. If he predicts that Nebraska loses against Cincinnati, we're turning this video off. We're not watching the entire thing. You know, we got to win that game. If we lose that, it's going to be a bad look for everybody involved.
You're in Arrowhead, so a little pseudo home game for Dylan Raiola. I think it's a win. Has to be a win. Just like he's about to say. Yep, has to be a win for Cincinnati. If we lose that game, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who are going to jump ship from the Matt Rhule bandwagon, maybe even including myself. You can't lose that game. Going to be a lot of people throwing around the red flags. You got to win that. You got to start off 1-0. It's a non-negotiable. Non-negotiable in the big coveted year 3 of this program. Be a win. Has got to be a win for Nebraska. Has got to be a belief builder, momentum getter. Has to be a win. I think it is a win for Nebraska and Matt Rhule. You beat Akron. Move along. Houston Christian. Just draw the short end of the stick there. If you're Houston Christian, it's a win for Nebraska. You play
3-0. That should be the record. That's pretty much what everybody's predicting, probably including myself. Obviously, I haven't released my record prediction just yet. Now it gets interesting. Let's go over to Michigan.
Michigan, the Bussin' Bowl. I think this game is actually a good bit closer than whatever the spread's going to be. But
I agree. I do think it's going to be a close game, very similar to what it was in 2021. It was a very hyped up battle. Again, I could see it go either way. Very well could. Depends on, Michigan. They're going to have a lot of momentum. I think you're going to be 3-0 along with us.
I think Nebraska probably drops this one. I just think Michigan overall talent-wise is a touch ahead of where Nebraska is right now. So you lose that game.
You're not wrong that Michigan's maybe a little bit more talented than us, right? They have a lot of 5-stars on that roster, but I'll raise you a couple counterpoints, right? They have a true freshman quarterback. That's going to be the biggest game that he's played in so far in his career. In a bad environment, that's going to be hard to play in, right? You're going into Memorial Stadium with 90,000 packed, right? They're going to be screwing the top of their lungs. I believe that's their first away game the entire season. Like, that's going to be definitely hard for him, right? So that's the first thing. And then Sherrone Moore, I don't know if he's going to coach in that game, right? We don't know if Sherrone Moore is going to be out. It looks like he's not going to be coaching because of suspension. And if he is coaching, I don't think he can outcoach Matt Rhule and what we have in Dana Holgorsen as well. So I think we have 2 things going in our favor. Not saying I think we're going to win that game just yet, but I don't to say that, Michigan's more talented than us and that's it, and they're going to win this game. I just think that's a lazy take. You're not really diving into all aspects.
Get back on the right side of things, though. You beat Michigan State the next week. Sneaky stretch here on the road.
I'm cool with being Michigan State. I don't think they're going to be very good. Don't like their coach. Don't like their quarterback. Play that game at home. Yeah, I feel pretty good about it, especially if you're coming off a loss. I think if we're coming off a loss, we're definitely going to win that game. If we do beat Michigan, might raise some problems because we might be sleepwalking and going into Michigan State off that high of beating the Wolverines.
At Maryland, at Minnesota. Notice, sneaky. You had the Michigan game behind you. You just got to win over Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, right? Like Maryland, Minnesota, that's a tough stretch. I mean, you got Maryland, who I don't expect them to be very good, but you're going off to the East Coast. We've struggled when we've taken long-distance trips. And then, of course, Minnesota is the biggest trap game of the year. You play it on a Friday night, and that's a team that we haven't beat since 2018, right? So I'm interested to see what he says.
State, you got to get both of these. I think they do get both, but you got to get both of these to end up at the final win total I have down here for the Cornhuskers and Matt Rhule. So you get both those. You beat North.
Okay, so he thinks we beat Maryland. I'm cool with that, right? I think it's going to be probably a closer game than a lot of people expecting. If you're betting at Nebraska to cover the spread, it's probably not going to happen for that game, in my eyes. But Minnesota's one where I could see go either way. I could very well see the Gophers beat us, and again, Nebraska always loses games they shouldn't lose. So that's the one that I'm definitely looking out for, is one where it's like, I don't think it's as easy as, oh, Nebraska's more talented or Nebraska should have won that game. It's not that easy, right? Same deal for the Michigan game, right? So I do think it's fair to take that he thinks we're going to win.
Western, and you play USC. I think USC offensively is going to be a bit more potent than Nebraska on this day, and I think also that the USC defense is going to take another step forward in their progress. Just love what they got going on up there. So I think that,
gosh, what is it with the media hype on USC? And this is the first one where I'm just like, again, you think that USC is more talented. You think the offense is so potent. The offense wasn't nothing last year. It wasn't that good last year. They lost some of their best players to the transfer portal. I'm sorry, I'm not buying the USC hype at all. That's going to be a tough game, and obviously they're a very talented team, but what are we doing here? We should have beat them last year. We had no business losing that game, and their defense is horrendous. Like, I don't have any confidence in Lincoln Riley's defense, no matter who he has as defensive coordinator, who he got, player wise. So again, I don't mind him predicting a loss there, but just have better analysis. Like, what are we doing here? It'd be for different reasons. Maybe if Nebraska gets in, or maybe if Nebraska loses to Minnesota, it's going to be hard for them to, maybe they go on a losing streak like we have, in year 1 and year 2 of Matt Rule. I don't know. I just don't like the analysis there. Lose that game,
go to UCLA, right? So a nice little back-to-back here against the California schools. I think you beat
same as last year.
UCLA. You go to Penn State.
So again, UCLA and Pasadena, very hyped up battle. I think UCLA is going to be a lot better than a lot of people expect with, Nico and Deshaun Foster. I think is a great head coach. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game, right? Again, going off to the West Coast. We lost to USC on the West Coast last year. But again, I think we're a better coach team. That's probably why we're going to win. Cool with that.
I think you lose that game to Penn State. How they look in that game, though, is going to be, I think, very telling as to the progress under Matt Rule. Not just when it comes to the talent roster matchup, because Penn State's going to be, I think, more talented than they've been in the past year, or as talented as they've been under James Franklin in this game. But like, just culturally speaking, at this point, you've already got 8 wins. Are you able to strain and push and show up in a spot where college football playoff probably isn't all that likely at this point? Given just the overall lay of the land, you'd imagine at this point with when one more game on the schedule after Penn State. But that'll tell us a lot. I think you lose that game, but I think it'll tell us a lot.
I don't hate the analysis there. I do agree that Penn State's the most likely loss on the schedule, right? But in his scenario where we have 8 wins, in his scenario we're 8-2 going into that game, I think Nebraska has a lot of proof, because if you do win that Penn State game in his scenario, you still have an opportunity to make college football playoff, because you will likely be playing a top 5 team at that point in time, Penn State. And Penn State, again, in my opinion, is the most talented team in the Big Ten this year, best quarterback in the Big Ten, best running back core in America. It's going to be a tough game. You play that game on the road, but if Nebraska in his scenario is 8-2, they're going to be playing for a lot, and they're going to go out ready to play. Absolutely believe that. So don't hate the prediction.
To Iowa, man, close one last year. Close one.
It's always a close one. What are we talking about, JD? It's always a close one versus Iowa. We know what we're getting into. I can't remember the last time Iowa blew us out. Probably, it was probably last year, Mike Riley, 2017, because it's always a close battle every year. We know how it is with rivalries. We know how it is.
Last year against Iowa, I think you beat Iowa. So you look up at the final record, I got Nebraska popping up at 9-3.
It's a good record. Can't get too mad about that. I will say, his analysis on some of the wins, losses, didn't love him. Obviously, he's supposed to go through a very quick fire, so he can't really go in depth. Like we're about to go in depth in about a couple weeks when I make my official record prediction. But listen, I like it. 9-3 is a good record. I think, I've already told you guys my ceiling. I think my ceiling is about 10-2 for Nebraska this year. I think our floor is about 5-7. That's if everything goes wrong. That's probably not going to happen. But it's if everything goes wrong, people get injured. But I don't hate it. I think that's definitely a big jump for Matt Rule. Now, is that enough to sway the opinions of a lot of these recruits that are coming to Nebraska? Probably not, but I think you probably need to win 10, potentially make a playoff. But I don't hate it. Definitely don't hate it.
9-3 for Nebraska after what last year was and the year before that. Yeah, in some ways you'd say it's a pretty big leap. Is it though? Because again, I told you the product's been better for a while. Dylan Raiola, you don't have to squint.
The product's been okay. The product was not very good last year. That's what I don't like from the media, though, is they act like last year was some great year for Nebraska. It really wasn't. We won 6 games in the regular season. We basically crawled to the finish line to get to a bowl game. We lost 5 of our last 6. People always forget about that. Were we good last year? Yeah, we made a good step and we won a bowl game, but we won one more regular season game than we did last year. And we weren't even good in 2023 either. We were one of the most anemic offenses in America. So it's not like our product's been very good. We just, got one more win than last year, and that was because we beat Colorado. That was the only X factor. We lost Colorado in 23 and won 5 games. We beat Colorado last year, and that's the reason why we made it. But we still went 3-6 in conference. So anyways, I'm sure he has more analysis. Don't really want to hear it though, because we saw everything we need to know. 9-3, don't hate it. Let's go over to Joel KLATT. Of course, put a like button on the. We'll give a little like to him, and let's get things started. So this was his basically analysis of. He said that Nebraska was a 10th team most likely to make college football playoff. I saw that on Twitter, but I haven't seen his analysis. So let's just get things started on what he thinks about the Huskers. And it should be noted, Joel KLATT, he's a Colorado alum, so we'll see.
See the pain on my face because again. I want to play this game with this particular program, which is until you do something, I'm done, right? Because I've been such a supporter for so long, even though I was a rival as a player. So that's Nebraska, of course. Nebraska is going to check in at number 10. They were right there in a bunch of games last year. They went 2-5 in one-score games. Can they turn it around? Yeah, they probably can. They're going to have a returning quarterback in Raiola, who was just a true freshman. So yeah, you could say he made a lot of mistakes last year, but remember, you get some experience going and you get the continuity of having your coach back now for Matt Rule. I think that they can probably take a little bit of a jump. You look at their...
A little bit of a jump. Okay. You just put us in at the number 10 most likely team to make their first college football playoff, and you said a little bit of a jump. Come on. This is what I don't like about the media. They'll say they'll either hype up Nebraska, to extreme levels, and they'll say, "Oh, Nebraska's going to win 7 games." Like, you're contradicting yourself. Or they'll either, disrespect Nebraska and still be like, "Oh, Nebraska's going to win, 6 or 7." Like, if you're going to disrespect us or hype us up, have your record prediction match that. Don't disrespect us or don't hype us up and then have something in the middle. Like, put your money where your mouth is.
Last year, it was progress. Year 2 with Rule was almost really good. Except for those one-score games, which I know you could be saying forever for Nebraska, but they snapped that 7-year streak without a bowl. That's progress. And then
that was a hilarious Matt Rule clip. Going in like slow motion, man.
Historically for Matt Rule, year 3 has been a jump. You look at what he did at Temple, what he did at Baylor. He won at least 10 in year 3 at both locations. So is that a possible jump this year? He's got an experienced quarterback. They upgraded at the wide receiver position from last year.
True and true.
Dane Key in from Kentucky, Hunter from Cal. They got some O-line help among.
But is their O-line that much better? I agree it's better, but did it take a huge jump forward? I don't know. Like, you got Rocco Spindler, but besides that, you pretty much bring everybody else back. Elijah Pritchard's a big question mark. Like, the whole narrative, the offensive line is so much improved. I don't know if I'm buying that just yet.
Their transfers, and then on defense, the front 7 has to replace some really good players, whom I was very impressed with a year ago. They played really well, in particular, even in a loss against Ohio State.
All right, Joel, let's get to it. All right, you said that Nebraska is the 10th most likely team to make college football playoff for the first time. Let's get to it. Come on.
In the middle of that defensive line, but there's a lot of experience in that secondary still. So to me, now it comes down to schedule. They've got a real shot to be 7-1 in their first 8 games going into November. Now, will they be?
Valid, but everybody said that about Nebraska last year, that Nebraska, they're going to start off 7-0, you know what I mean, going into Ohio State. Well, it turns out Indiana was really good. It turns out Illinois is pretty good. It turns out Colorado turned out to be pretty good, even though we beat them. So, we have a real shot to start off 7-1. Well, we don't know what half these teams are going to look like. What if Minnesota turned out to be pretty solid? What if Maryland actually is good for the first time in a long time?
I'm not sure. They're going to have to win some of those close games, which historically has been a real issue for Nebraska. But their first 4 games, Cincinnati and Kansas City, Akron, Houston Christian, they're going to be right there in terms of moving into the middle of their schedule, moving into the back end of their schedule before they really hit some what I would consider to be turmoil in their schedule. They've got Michigan State, they've got at Maryland, at Minnesota, and then November doesn't seem that difficult. USC, probably their most difficult. At UCLA, bye week.
November doesn't seem that difficult. I think it's our hardest stretch the entire year. USC is going to be probably pretty. I don't know if I'm buying the hype necessarily. They're going to be a playoff team, but they're going to be good. UCLA is better than expected. Penn State's going to be one of the best teams in the country, and Iowa's Iowa. Like, what are we talking about? Like, November's going to be tough.
At Penn State, clearly their toughest game, and then an Iowa game, which is obviously going to be huge for them late in the year. The key game for me is that USC game. They have that Michigan game early. Do they have to win that one? Probably not. Do they have to beat Penn State? Probably not. But then you look at that November 1st SC game, and that's the one that I'll be kind of looking at. The games there.
I don't hate that take, honestly. Like, I think a lot of people already circle Penn State and Michigan. I agree. But yeah, USC, it definitely is a big game for Nebraska. Like, it's one you really can't drop, right? The USC probably won't be ranked in that one. It could be, 20 to 25, but that's one where Nebraska, they need to win, especially at home this year. If you lose against USC, again, you wish the college football playoff goodbye. It's just not going to happen. Like, that's pretty much the X factor game. Besides, I'd say Michigan. I'd say those are the two X factors. So I kind of like the take. I think it's kind of unique. I think too many people are hyping on the Michigan game, but USC, that's going to be a big game as well. And I honestly think the UCLA game is just as big, along with Minnesota. Like, those are two trap games in my opinion. Nebraska needs to win on the road. If you lose either, it's just, again, will you actually make that big jump? Probably not.
And then you look at the ending of their schedule. If they can get past USC, even if Michigan were to beat them, even if Penn State were to beat them, now you look at that Iowa game, and now you're like, okay, do we have a chance at 10-2? I think 10-2, Nebraska probably goes. So as long as they.
Whoa, okay. Tell me how you really feel. 10-2?
Don't stub their toe, they could be playing some meaningful games in November. So they're going to check in at number 10. All right, here's number 9.
Okay. So that's definitely interesting. And it's very similar to JD Pinko, where, not too much analysis, but 10-2. So I love to know his actual record prediction, but I'm assuming he probably thinks I'm assuming his record prediction is we win all our games, so we lose to Penn State, and I think he probably thinks we're going to lose to Michigan, which is, a lot of the predictions I've seen recently. So I don't hate that. I don't hate some of his analysis. I think he thinks his team is very much improved. I think he thinks that the schedule is very advantageous, but yeah, I agree with him though. The USC game is going to be huge. Like, if you lose that game, you can kiss the college football playoff goodbye. Like, you got to win that game. It's a big monkey off your back. But I think honestly he was brushing by a lot of these other games on the schedule. Like, again, UCLA is going to be a tougher one. Minnesota's going to be a tougher one. I think Michigan State could be tough, right? I think even Cincinnati, right? Like, you never know what a team's going to look like in week 1. Although I'm definitely probably going to predict the Cincinnati win. You never know, right? You just never know what happens in week 1 because teams make mistakes they shouldn't make, right? So 10-2, okay. You got 10-2, you got 9-3. This tells you, the national media is starting giving us a little bit more respect, right? And I've been doing this for a while. I've been covering Nebraska for a while. I've seen, as most national beat reporters, they only think we're going to win like 6 games, 7 games. So that definitely means there's a lot of good feelings about us. But the last time we had this much hype was in 2019. Didn't really turn out to be that case, right? So while I feel good about this year, I think we're going to be preseason ranked. Got to show it on the field, man. I'm not going to drink too much Kool-Aid, but it definitely feels good to have a lot of these national beat reporters, national insiders start to feel a lot better about us because it means that we're doing something right. So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about both of these guys' prediction. I want to hear what you have to say. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go Matt Rule, and I'll see you in the next one.